This is the People Before Politics show, broadcast every Sunday at 6 p.m. Hosts Damon Jones and AJ Woodson bring you the news that impacts our community. Join us for unfiltered, unapologetic coverage of the stories that matter most. Black Westchester Magazine presents the People Before Politics show, the news with the Black point of view.
Thank you to everyone who supported us through Super Chat. Your contributions keep independent media alive and thriving. We couldn't do it without you. Stand up, speak out, rock the message that matters, community before party. Get your shirt today and let your vote wear your interest and values over party loyalty. If you found this video informative, don't forget to like and share it with others who need to hear the truth. And for exclusive content and behind the scenes access, join the Black Westchester Magazine YouTube membership club today. Your support helps us keep independent Black media strong. Support independent Black media with style. Rock Black Westchester merch and represent the news with the Black point of view. Every purchase helps us speak truth to power. The Black Tax Pivot. How to survive and thrive under the Trump cuts. Free for a limited time, then available for $7.99 on Amazon. Inside, we break down how to use the new tax code to your advantage, how to restructure your business or start one, why trades and skills are your gateway to wealth, how to shift from spending to ownership fast. We don't have to like the game, but we better learn how to win it. No more excuses. Learn the code, build the power, own your future.
Peace and blessings, everybody. Peace and blessings, everybody. This is Damon Jones here, and welcome to the People Before Politics show. And I am Black Westchester Magazine's publisher, Damon Jones, and we're here today on this beautiful Sunday to start it off, as always. Major blessing from the man above, from God, to let us end and start another week. And I want to thank everybody from all the platforms, especially YouTube. If you haven't liked or follow, please do on YouTube. Help us with the YouTube algorithm, because we are keeping independent news. We need your support to maintain being independent in this time. And I really want to thank everybody for their support. Today we're gonna have a great show today, right? We have two great guests. Around 6:30, we're gonna have New York City mayoral candidate Jim Walden on the show. We're gonna have him on the show. And then after Jim Walden at 7 o'clock, we're going to have my sister from the Bronx, community organizer, political activist, and advocate for working families, Latina Brown. And let me tell you something. She is doing great work out there in the Bronx. You know, whether you're a Democrat or whether you're a Republican, she's mobilizing people in the Bronx to focus on policy. How is those policies affecting you? And let me tell you, I know my sister, she lives in AOC's district. And I know she's going to have a lot of things to say about AOC, because she lives in her district and she sees what's happening and what's not happening. And I think it will be, it's going to be a great opportunity for us. And as always, man, I like to, if you haven't already, man, go over to blackwestchester.com and check out the latest news with the Black point of view, because we're really trying to have good conversations, good independent conversations on what's actually going on. So right back to Black Westchester. Please check out our website, This is what it's all about. And we actually go to print. We actually go to print once a month. And if you subscribe, you could definitely get the digital copy. Get the digital copy of Black Westchester magazine, because that's what we're trying to do. We also have a digital copy once a month. If you don't live in the Westchester, Northern Bronx area, to actually get the physical paper, you could get the digital copy. You can get the digital copy. So if you're subscribed to Black Westchester YouTube, we always post the digital copy for our subscribers. If you are a member, if you join the membership on YouTube, you actually get it early before we post it. Once it goes up, once we send it to the printer, we send it to the membership. That's one of the perks of being a member, and of course, you get discounts on different products and things, supporters of Black Westchester. So what we have right now, here's an article that I did today. I wanted to talk about it. You know, why nobody is talking about the 300,000 missing migrant children. There are 300,000 missing migrant children that nobody's having a conversation about. People are not talking. Oh, well, I'm talking the background. There we go. People are not talking about the missing migrant children. You know, there's 1.4 million deportation orders. 1.4 million have final deportation orders, but there's no conversation of the missing migrant children. How do we find these missing migrant children? You know, and I think it's very important, which we don't hear a lot of conversation when we're talking about immigration, and they're talking about how, you know, Black folks is next, the nonsense. Nobody's talking about the missing migrant children. I think we really have to talk about that, or have somebody have a conversation about it. Wouldn't that be a priority on either side? Like, really, nobody's talking about it. So I think, you know, we need to check our politicians, you know, to see how do we track these young kids? You know, what do we do? But they get lost in the political rhetoric, and they're children. So what, they end up as what? Sex slaves in the sex market or anything like that? Like, what, how do we actually, there's no real conversation about that. Which and we should have some type of national conversation on these missing children. I mean, Eric Adams brought it up at one of the press conferences, you know, and he had lambasted the press for actually not having that conversation about the missing children. You know, worried about his court case. But he said, well, y'all need to really have these discussions about the missing migrant children. You know, I think this is very serious. So that's one of the articles that we have up. And big shout out. The Greenberg Farmers Market is back. For all of y'all that's in Greenberg, White Plains, Elmsford, or wherever you are in Westchester County. Our sister Kobe Jenkins.
She just got a. What's up, everybody? She just got I think she just spoke at the Greenberg Town Hall meeting on the 9th a couple of days ago. And with the backing of, I guess, some grants and money from Senate Majority Leader Andrew Stewart Cousins and Assemblywoman Mary Jane Shimsky, she'll be able to start offering free diapers to residents and
Nice.
Up to like $25 worth of free produce and fruit to all who visit the program. And she's working with the Black Farmers Network and a couple other farms further upstate. And she has farmers, Damon. She has farmers that are looking for space to start growing locally for her. She's putting out a call for space for the farmers to grow some local produce that she could have distribute through the farmers market.
That's interesting.
Yeah, so I don't have the whole story. She wanted to tell me more. I put it up late last night, so come back later and check out the story. It'll be updated as soon as I speak to her. There'll be much more to the story. And she's also the one, give her credit, give her a shout out. She puts together that Women Dare to Be Different event for the past 11 years. And 2024, she started the 2024, she started the Men Who Dare to Be Different Power Brunch. 2024, yours truly, Damon K. Jones and myself were among the first honorees. So she's been doing that for the last 2 years. So, yeah, man, she's doing her thing. So shout out to her. And I'll probably try to get her on the show soon. And
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I was on the phone with her the other day, man, trying to teach her how to use AI, man, he was like, you got to show me how to do that. Like, and so we were, and she made one and sent it to me. It came out good too.
But
real good.
Also, even though she's the president and the founder, shout out to all the people involved in the farmers market and the Dare to Be Different. There's a whole team behind her that do the work. So we always celebrate the person who's at the top, but they couldn't do the work like we can do the work with all those who volunteer and participate and contribute. So shout out to everybody who's involved.
Yeah, absolutely. What's this one? We'll get to that. I wanted to go back to Stewart. So, I got a lot of mixed feelings about this story because I know the brother, and I hope people in Mount Vernon that's listening, especially people in the police department, when you don't stick up for your community, and I don't care what people say, and they come in and they grab someone that made a mistake, but the actual people that have been violating Black people's rights in Mount Vernon, they got away with it because people didn't want to speak up. Now, if you thought that the feds was just going to come in and just not grab somebody just to prove a point, they did.
I just want to add, though, so what he's accused of doing, and Nick spoke on this as well too. When they checked his taser thing, he had tased the person 7 times. It had been dispensed 7 times.
7 times.
Right. So, while he is guilty of what he's doing, I think what you're saying is because of favoritism and the lack of people speaking up, the feds went and grabbed the low-hanging fruit compared to a lot of so we're not saying he's not guilty. I just want to be clear on that.
No, I'm not saying.
But we've done stories, a lot of which the DOJ was investigating, were stories that we have done, and there were a lot more egregious offenses against our community from both black and white officers who, went unpunished. Officers were allowed to retire with their pension. Some of them I've fought for them to be fired. I've done stories on it, and it's a shame when they only grab the low hanging fruit. And I think that speaks to what you're saying. So a lot of other people walked even after Bovel's whistleblower tapes and all those things. A lot of people
And this is what I understand.
more egregious, and we've done the stories. We're not gonna relive all the stories. We did them, but there was so many worse things than this.
Exactly, and a lot of people are very upset, and I know this brother personally. And when I heard about the story, I was shocked. But he has accepted his accountability, but there was far more worse incidents of those who just got away with it than what Stewart did. And I'm not dismissing what he did. I'm not dismissing at all. But it was far worse things that happened to people. And people got away with it because black officers didn't want to speak up. And now they're running around complaining, well, this one and that one. Yeah, but you didn't speak up. You didn't speak up.
I hated to do the story. I mean, it's news, and I had to do it. It's news. It happened. I try to stick to the facts and leave my opinion out of it. But again, like I said, there were so many other stories that I've covered over the last these past years of people who were way worse, did much more, who cost the city much more money, and other people that just got away with it and didn't get disciplined, and no charges or anything was brought against them. Some of them were investigated initially by the DOJ, and this is the result of that investigation. And it's a shame that this is the only person who's actually going to go to jail.
I mean, nobody worked with Mimi Roca. Nobody out of all the 28 hours of tapes, nobody wanted to talk to nobody.
Yeah, she couldn't get nobody to talk.
And then everybody want to get upset because they grabbed the low-hanging fruit. Well, you should have opened up your mouth. You should have opened up your mouth. I prayed for the brother, and I pray that he gets the time that they're saying that he's going to do. I pray that he's able to recover and go on with his life. Because you have to, if you don't know, like this is the problem when you don't have a police department with proper leadership and training. And when things that are not correct becomes normal. When abnormal becomes normal in your police department. And I know for a fact there's still supervisors that haven't even read the DOJ report. How you supervise you didn't read the federal investigation of your own police department.
And while it's a different DOJ and the DOJ is not following up on it now, there's still no excuse with our leadership because there's a report. They called out all the changes that need to be made. The report was sent. It was sent to City Hall. It was sent to the police department. And as of now, when we had the current PBA president on, he said nothing has been done to follow up or to make any of those changes or do anything.
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. I said that. I was on Mount Vernon News Center last night. And I spoke about that. Just because the new Department of Justice decided that they wasn't going to do consent decrees and have oversight, and they pulled the oversight, doesn't mean that Mount Vernon Police Department and City Hall has an out without addressing the issues that are brought up with that DOJ report. They think it's an out, that they don't have to do anything. And the sad thing about it is that the residents of Mount Vernon are not demanding, they're not demanding anything. The residents of Mount Vernon are not even demanding accountability of a mayor calling a suspect having sex with a minor. This was not happening in any other city. Like, this is insane. Nobody's calling for accountability of that. And this is not saying, this is, and you know, and I don't want people to say, oh, you just hating on the mayor. Nobody's hating on anybody. It's about accountability.
And this goes back a couple of mayors too. This is the things we covered.
Exactly.
Go back a couple of mayors. We're not even, so let's be clear. We're talking about the leadership period. We've been doing this 11 years now, and that's been about 4 or 5 mayors in that time. And we've been fighting this fight. You know, we did our job. We called it out. We covered it. We brought the attention to the public. And because we did the stories, places like the DA's office, the DOJ, and all those other entities were reading about it and was alerted to it because of our stories. When it came to speaking up, those who knew did not speak up. And I want to speak to the residents too, because do you know there are still residents of Mount Vernon that did not know that there was a DOJ investigation? Like, there's no, seriously, you know, and I'm not going to name that. It's just a shame. So, you know, we have to do better. We have to care about more what's going on in our community. And until we do, it does not matter who we vote for and who sits in those seats if we're not doing our part as residents.
Right.
We have a responsibility for the state of the city and how we want it to be. We have a role to play, and not enough of the people in this community are playing their role, playing their part. So, and
sometimes, and you know what, and sometimes you get worn out.
You do. I get worn out. I'm still all the time.
They want you to write the article. They want you to talk about it on a radio show. They want you to do a press conference. They want you to know where is your responsibility in this process?
Yeah, they want us to go to the DOJ and testify.
Exactly. I tell them, I said, look, I don't live in Mount Vernon anymore. But I still do the news. I still cover. I still have interest because my wife gives her life to that city every time she goes on patrol. And because it's poor city management puts my wife in danger. If it's poor police management, it puts my wife in danger. So yes, I have interests. I have family. I got my mother-in-law. I got my son. I got people that are in my family that live in that city. And my wife gives her life to that city, and my daughter serves that city as a nurse in the hospital in the next town, which many of y'all go to because you ain't even got a hospital.
Well, you have a hospital. It's just
that's not a hospital. That ain't no damn hospital. That's a clinic. That's an oversized clinic. That's no hospital, bro. That's not a hospital.
Before we go finish this story, so he was sentenced to 6 months, and after that, he'll have 6 months home confinement. So that was what his sentence was.
God, man, I pray for the brother. So we talked about. So they had the city charter revision. They had the city charter revision, and then we're going to bring in our first guest.
So I posted this story because, so first off, how I started off the story, and I want to go there first. Yo, I'm just going to use my first paragraph. There's been a lot of discussion, rumors, email blasts, social media posts, and comments about the proposed Charter Review Commission report for 2024-2025 and the amendments that they're asking people to vote for in November. I witnessed a lot of false information, smear campaigns, attacks on members of the Charter Committee, accusations against the City Council and the mayor, and others allegedly attempting to dwarf the proposed changes to retain power. At this point, residents and voters are unsure what is true, what is not, and who or what to believe. So I got a copy of this proposed revision, proposed Charter Revision Commission report. It says, first off, two things. It says final. They won't be voting on it till the 16th. So as of right now, it can't be final because they ain't vote on it yet. Secondly, whoever put this together, I have to throw them under the bus. There's a picture on the front cover of City Hall, not Mount Vernon City Hall. It must have been a generic City Hall that somebody picked up. Yo, you couldn't go outside of the building and take a picture, or you couldn't just go to Google and Google a picture of Mount Vernon City Hall and put Mount Vernon City Hall on the front of this. That's another thing. Secondly, the things that were voted on, the one thing that they rejected, the commission rejected, was the one thing that I think that they might have done Mount Vernon some good, and that's making districts, or what they call wards. And what that means is, like Yonkers and New Rochelle, you will run in the district that you live in. Like right now, the last few city councils, we had 3-4 people from the same district. If we had districts, only one of them, they would have had to all fight it out for that district, and only one person from that district would have represented that district, and other districts would be represented. So I believe, and this is something that they've been fighting for on both sides. This is not a north side or a south side thing. Everybody been fighting for, been saying we need this, and that's the one thing that the Charter Commission voted no to put on the ballot for next year. For November. And I think that was one of the most important things that they could have done. So, I'm not even going to go into, I put it out there. I know it's 320 pages and nobody's going to read all that. I gave you the bullet points of what it is. I gave you the links to everything, because we talk about all this stuff. A lot of people don't know what it is we're talking about. They say that the second thing is they want to make the controller, they want to increase the criteria for the controller to be a CPA and all these other things. What they're not telling you, they also want to make the controller an appointed position as opposed to an elected position. That's not in the wording. It just talks about the criteria for voting for a controller. So I think that's a little misleading. And I'm going to say this, and everybody can make their own mind. Damon wrote a great editorial. It might not be the charter, it might be the people you're voting for. So if we had, and we're not talking about the current administration, for the last few decades, everybody's had a problem with what's going on in Mount Vernon, and things have been going down because we're voting for people that are friends, that we have relationships with, that we went to school with, that we're cool with, that is cool with somebody as opposed to who is best to serve those positions. And that is on the voters, not the people who are elected. They can't get elected if you don't vote for them. So there's been a problem with all the stuff going on for the last few decades. Again, I put it on the residents for not making more informed decisions at the ballot box. There's a saying, you get the government you deserve because you get the government you vote for. This is what you're voting for. And
right.
and I ended thing with I ended. There's a phrase that I use a lot. You can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink. It's a proverb that means you can provide someone with an opportunity or resources to do something, but you cannot force them to take advantage of it or to be successful. It highlights the idea that ultimately individuals must be willing and motivated to act on their own. So while Black Westchester has always held the elected officials' feet to the fire, I would be a hypocrite if we didn't hold the residents of the city equally accountable. And if you don't like the state of your city, you have to look at the people you are voting for. So maybe there's arguments on whether a city manager type of government might be best. There's arguments why it might not be best. But you're going to have to vote on this. And you need to know what you're voting for. Also, I just want to say one more thing. The commission did not do a good job. They sent out a survey, Damon, and they didn't do a mailing or nothing. They put it on social media and they put it on the city website. Tejan came at the last meeting that they had at the city hall at Derek Thompson and said there are 41 or 44,000 plus registered voters in New York and Mount Vernon. Damon, 300 and something people filled out the survey. That is 0.73%. So we are going to put something on the ballot that 0.73% of the people had say about. I don't care what you did. Obviously, it failed and you did not reach a lot of people, because I know personally I've heard a lot of people that did not know about the survey, did not see the survey. One of the things you could have did for free, you could have sent Black Westchester a press release. You could have, when stuff like this, we would bring 2 or 3 people on the commission on the show and have a show about it so y'all can talk about it, to bring attention to it. Secondly, y'all said y'all put it on social media. Take a few dollars and boost your posts and target voters in Mount Vernon. You can target by race, you can target by zip code, you can target by age, and it will show up in people's timelines. No one has, the average person does not have time to have to check City Hall's website, the school board's website, or the library board website to see what the hell y'all doing, because y'all are not getting the information out to the people.
You know, we got our guests here, man, and we have to discuss
put that out. I want to put that out, and it's in the article, and I'm going to do a live myself just discussing that. But go ahead.
Yeah, no, we need that has to be discussed, and I'm just going to say, just for the sake of time, right. if they really think, and I said this on Mount Vernon News Center last night, if they really think that they are going to get rid of the controller who was voted in, and he's the pastor of one of the most historic churches in Mount Vernon, that you're going to have a policy to vote that man out. They got another thing coming. It's not going to happen.
Well, let me say one last thing. I just want to bring last thing, and then we done with this for a minute. So you want to take away a controller as an elected position, which is selected by the people, and he answers to the people, to an appointed by the city manager, who is appointed by the city council, so he answers to them. There's what happens to this equal branch of government. So you're taking away the mayor's executive branch and giving the power to the legislative branch, combining the legislative branch and the executive branch. Okay. I'm going to do a live about this later. We got our guest. It's New York City mayoral candidate Jim Walden, I believe, running as an independent.
Welcome.
Hear from the only names I'm hearing is the guy who won the primary and Eric Adams and Cuomo. Exactly. There are a lot of other people running. You will appear on the November ballot, right?
I will.
So we needed to talk to you because when I saw Damon didn't mention it to me, when I saw the promotional flyer he made, I had to look you up, and I was like, yo, he's independent. Yo, why don't I hear his name? Like, I don't hear his name in the press. So we have a lot of people who work and live in the city who watch the show. So we wanted to have you on the show and give you a chance to talk.
Well, listen, I'm super grateful for being here. So thanks a lot. And, name recognition is not rocket science. It's just a matter of getting out there. Only 10% of New Yorkers so far have voted for Zohran Mamdani, who's the Democratic primary member.
Right.
I'm here for the 90%. So that's the base I'm going for. And a lot of people don't really know that much about him, frankly. I'm just starting my race. So I'm looking forward to this, and I'm looking forward to this conversation.
Great.
As a registered independent, why are you running an independent party as opposed to the Democratic Party or the Republican Party?
AJ, for every single reason that you just gave when I was listening to you, if I could while you were talking, I would have said like.
Exactly.
It's like the system is not set up to give us the best possible candidates. So I think I'm a little bit more forgiving to the voters than you are, because there's so many ways in which the game is rigged. I realized this back in 2006. I've been an independent for almost 20 years. And I'm also an independent because I don't want to be part of this blood sport. Now, earlier in the race, I did my share of attacking candidates, and I realized I was kind of going in a flow that I wasn't comfortable with. So I've been really focusing on getting my message out and helping people understand who I am. But we got to try to figure out a way to disagree more civilly and really to have conversations, even difficult conversations about tough issues in a way that we could just have respect for each other, even if we disagree. So that's the kind of vision that I want to have in City Hall. I'm going to have Democrats, Republicans, independents, people from the Conservative Party. I'm going to have everyone from every walk of life, every political party in my administration. Yep. So
now let people know, man, because I was reading your webpage. I'm like, oh man, he's been around, man. He's not like he just haven't popped up, right? You just didn't pop up anywhere. You have been doing work for the people for a long time.
Oh, Dan, that's very, very kind of you.
Yeah, man. I was like, wow. I didn't, I was like,
tell us your story a little bit.
Let people know
who is Jim Walden other than the mayoral candidate?
Yeah, exactly. I'm probably a lot like the people that are watching this show, right? I consider myself an independent thinker. Most people in New York do. After all, we're gritty New Yorkers. I love my family. I've been married to the same woman for 25 years. I got 3 kids. Yeah. I did well in school with a lot of hard work, not because I was the smartest guy in the room all the time, but I really worked hard. I was a federal prosecutor for 9 years after a clerkship in Philadelphia. For that 9 years, I was fighting the worst of the worst. I was fighting organized crime, and I was fighting very high-level heroin traffickers that were bringing huge shipments into the country and killing New York communities. So I fought that battle for 9 years, proud to have solved like 25 cold case homicides. And then I've been a private lawyer for 23 years. It would have been super easy for me to stick in a lane, but I felt the calling to service. So for 23 years, I brought every kind of case you can imagine. For the indigent to get their food stamps back, for the mentally ill and disabled that were being denied Social Security benefits, for school kids that were being victimized by bullying, for low-income housing communities who were living in deplorable conditions. I mean, I could keep going on, but you'd get bored. But during that whole time, I met or represented or sued all of the big names that we're talking about, and sometimes stood alongside of them at press conferences and sometimes battled with them in court. So I know city policy, and I decided to run because I want a different, better vision for New Yorkers. I want one that is based on really good policy and vision and hard work, where you have someone that really wants the job for all the right reasons, but doesn't need the job. That's the kind of choice that I think New Yorkers are hungry for, and independent to boot, so that everybody knows I'm not beholden to anyone. I'm the only candidate in the race that literally has a policy on my website to get special interests out of City Hall. We've never had that. Only candidate to form a specific agency to go after corruption and get it out of City Hall once and for all. So I care about all the other issues. I mean, I'd love to talk to you about affordability and our education system. But I'm here to provide solutions to these problems that career politicians can't seem to get right.
I got a comment and a question. So I hope you're better than the last prosecutor that we had as New York City mayor, Rudy Giuliani. so I just couldn't resist because you said prosecutor.
AJ, you got to tell me at the end of the interview, all right? If you say, "Oh, that guy's just like Giuliani," I'm gonna have to hang my head.
So you went on something that we've been discussing locally, and I have been champion for the whole time we've been doing Black Westchester. The need for campaign reform and the money and special interests in campaigns. These elections are getting more and more expensive. And I always say, when, unfortunately, a lot of us can't put thousands and thousands into a candidate's pocket. So, and because of the way it is, you need more and more money to run. So then you take money from either political action committees, special interests, developers, whoever. When those are the people that substantially fund your campaign, once you get in office, those are the calls you answer first when they come. Now, the people got to make an appointment, but those are the calls you have to answer because you would not be there if it was, you couldn't run without those people. So I think campaign reform is something we need locally, nationally, statewide. I mean, it's something that I've been, you started to speak about that. I'd like to give you a chance to speak.
I'd love to speak about it. Listen, I was on the board of the oldest good government organization in New York City. It's been around for 125 years, Citizens Union, for almost a decade. I really believe in good government, and I really believe in getting special interests out of election. And I'm going to blow your mind, AJ. I put my money where my mouth is. Listen, I've got a lot of wealthy friends and wealthy contributors and people that would love to start a political action committee, or what is called here an independent expenditure for me. And you know what I did when I saw all this money pouring into the race? I issued a policy, and the policy said, I don't want a PAC. I will disavow any political action committee or IE that gets formed for me. And if anyone contributes to a PAC for me, their name is going on a do not call list at City Hall. And if they then decide to put their request in writing, it's going to go up on a website that's going to be prominent on the homepage, and people are going to be able to see it, and they're going to be able to track exactly who they spoke to and when. So that if we gave preferential treatment to someone who ended up opening a PAC for us, because I can't control whether someone does that, they have to understand that everything is going to be completely transparent in a way like it's never been before. And I also did things in the policy, you guys can look at it at my website, that provides equal access for individuals when we have lobbyists that come in, because you can't not with lobbyists, but when they come in, to give equal opportunities for regular people to come in and oppose the positions and know what the lobbyist said, because the meetings are recorded. So we really, that policy is called OpenNYC. People can go on my website. All of the policies that I've formed already, I put them in writing. And at the end, everyone says the same. You have my policy in writing, hold me accountable, because that's the kind of government that we deserve.
So Damon, while we haven't heard your name yet, it seems like we're going to hear your name a lot, because they're going to be coming after you. There's going to be a whole lot of
bring it on.
money, PAC money spent against you, because
it's too funny.
Yeah, I think it's, I really think that's I commend you, man. You know, because even locally, like dealing up here in Westchester, we're seeing the emergences of PACs in small city elections here in Westchester County, and it's dangerous. It's very dangerous, because the average person can't spend, you know, the amount of money when you have a whole bunch of developers that are backing a PAC, and they're just outspending people on mailers and everything else, and just manpower on the street. So and it leaves a beholden government, you know, and it becomes even dangerous. What is now? I really wanted to talk to you and every other candidate, because I heard some things from Mandami about pulling police out of the community. You know, like I don't know nobody of no ethnic group that do not want police in the community. They want professionalism, they want trust, they want accountability, but they don't want the police pulled out of the community. What is your public safety plan for the 5 boroughs if you become mayor?
Yeah, so what a great question. And I got to say, I've spent a bunch of time in NYCHA communities and other communities that have been disadvantaged. And I've heard the exact same thing as you, which is, why are these people saying they want to pull police out? I mean, the latest idea that seems like it's written in some kind of like elementary school book is they're going to have mental health workers just show up for domestic violence calls. You know what the most dangerous calls are domestic violence calls. How does that help women that are being beaten to
Exactly.
So I've been in policing in some form or fashion my whole career as a prosecutor, and I've worked with NYPD throughout my career. So I understand policing in a way that I think a lot of the other candidates just don't, including Eric Adams. I would never do to the NYPD what he's done in terms of that terrible leadership that is causing so many problems. So number one, we're having the safety problem that we're having, despite the despite the decrease in crime numbers. We've been digging ourselves out of a hole since the COVID, and we haven't gotten to the levels of crime that we had back before COVID. And even then, we can improve there. So number one, we need more police officers on the street, which is going to be challenging because we got a morale problem with the NYPD. So we have to solve the morale problem, but we can get about 1,000 officers back on the street if we do 2 things. Suspend the retirement age and let police officers who want to work longer, and get cops out of administrative jobs and onto the street, while we're trying to expeditiously hire more police officers to make up the gap, which is somewhere, depending on who you talk to, between 4,000 and 6,000 police officers. Now, when you bring those officers in, I do believe that there's a better way to train police officers to be more engaged and empathetic with disadvantaged communities. And so I'm talking to experts about this, but I want to extend the police academy by 2 weeks so that before a police officer has a badge and gun, he or she can go into disadvantaged communities and work with community leaders on specific projects, so they get to know them. There is some connection even before they're a police officer. And I just think that will make police officers better police. There are many other ways that we can improve, but what they're going to hear from me is a tone from the top that has respect for the police. The whole defund the police nonsense was always bad policy, and it was bad policy, 5 years ago. It's bad policy now.
Yeah, I think we had, when the whole defund the police. I'm retired law. I did 33 years in Westchester County Department of Corrections, and
I saw corrections, and that is a hard job. So thank you for your service.
Yeah, thank you. And look, I know Eric personally, from the Grand Council of Guardians and 100 Blacks in Law Enforcement. So I know Eric personally too. But the problem, I think, when we're talking law enforcement is the actual relationship, and the fact that when the whole George Floyd thing and the defund the police, right? Law enforcement, when we was talking accountability, we was saying, hey, listen, police needs to be properly trained. Y'all got them doing too much, right? You got them being social work. You got them doing everything, but you're not training them to deal with de-escalation in the mental health if they coming across somebody that's having a mental health crisis. We're, in Westchester, I'm still fighting for that now, to make sure that police are actually trained, because corrections, we're trained, right? We're trained to de-escalate mental health people and people that have mental illnesses, but police departments are not trained. So we're fighting all that, and then in the process, somehow, some way, somebody started this defund the police thing. And it's like, it's not defunding. It's just saying, y'all got the police responding to social ills that policy created. Bad government policy has created these ills, and then y'all sending the police to solve the problem. Hold on a second. So hold on, let me just finish. So when we was discussing all this from a law enforcement standpoint, law enforcement community standpoint, all of a sudden it's become defund. No, not defund, just properly train and have focus. Look, I don't mind the police responding to domestic violence, but they need to be trained in domestic violence. I don't mind police responding to a mental health crisis, but they need to be trained into mental health de-escalation and know what they're doing, because we're seeing more cases of they're not understanding, and then it goes straight to the gun. There's a story, I think you need to, they made a movie out of it. It's called The Killing of Kenneth Chamberlain.
Mm-hmm.
It was a situation where White Plains Police, he set off his home alert alarm by mistake. Life alert alarm by mistake. The police responded. He wouldn't let him in. They ended up tasering him, shooting him with beanbags, and ultimately killing him. All because he set off his life alert alarm by mistake. You know, and Life
Alert called them and said he's okay. He didn't respond when he first called them.
When you watch it as someone, and when you watch this movie, you're gonna be like, you will not believe it's a real story.
They called back and said, he doesn't need, he's okay. They said, no, we're still going to make an entrance. They wouldn't stand down. And they would determine, because of the address, that if they went in, they would find something to justify why they went in. And
right. So I mean, I understand what you're saying, and we need that. And we need better leadership, and we need better leadership in policing, you know, and we need that community. You know, we don't, the warrior after 9/11, right? What happened? They changed all our clothes into army gear, right? So now instead of being officer friendly, remember officer friendly? I remember officer friendly. We became the warrior on the corner.
And militarize the police.
So the whole police mentality change, which we need to get back to being problem solvers of the community instead of occupiers.
I want to say one last thing too. When the first people, the activists, the first people use the expression defund the police, because it's been co-opted, what they were talking about is every year when we talk about the problems of the police, the government, the city government, what they would do is throw more money at the police. And they were saying, take some of this money in the funding for mental health training and for all these other things. And that's what it originally was. So many other times, we allow our messages to be co-opted, and it became this other thing that was never meant. And you can always find an idiot on the street if you look enough to be like, oh no, we don't need no daggone police. That's probably somebody who's had a lot of problems with the police, but he didn't represent with the people who were really doing it. That because it wasn't about taking away police. It was about one, what he said, training, and one about adding more medical health professionals. More because you know what the problem is, and they here in Mount Vernon where we live, so they have funded the programs and services. So the police is the only 24-hour agency to answer these calls now. And we're asking the police, and like Damon said, I've interviewed a lot and talked to a lot of police because of him, and throughout what we do, a lot of them, they're being asked to do too much. And that is a complaint. So it's just a matter of we allowed the message to be co-opted and a further division between the police and the community because of it, and the other side, utilized that and they ran with that.
But New York City has a huge building. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, you know how to take care of part of the problem. So first of all, everything you guys saying, you're making common sense points. I wish that our elected officials would listen. But one way to take the stress off the police, right, is to get the mentally ill people off the street. We've been hearing this for years, right? From Governor Hochul, from Eric Adams. They're going to get the job done. Okay, what's happened? A couple hundred people have been taken off the street. There's still about 2,000 that are either on the street or in Rikers. They need to go into long-term treatment so that they can have the promise of a somewhat normal life, and we have more order and more safety on our streets and in our subways. And I'm not saying this from a hard-hearted perspective, right? This happened to my sister. My sister was profoundly mentally ill. She was in and out of mental institutions her whole adult life. The mental health system failed us. She ultimately went to jail where she didn't belong. She was released and she was stable for a period of time. The institutions failed her again and she ended up dead on the street. And all I know is that her death certificate says suffocation. So that's how I lost my sister. I don't want to lose any more New Yorkers because we can't get our act together. We should be able to make a better world for the mentally ill by getting them the treatment they need, which is a better world for the police officers with less stress and a better world for all of us because the problems that they cause because they can't control themselves make it really unsafe for people just walking in their playgrounds and on their streets.
And they close some of those institutions too, the facilities. So the people don't have nowhere to get services except for your little county jails or whatever. Like that's the only way they're getting their medication and help.
That was the ecosystem, right? So when they closed the facilities, the jail became the mental health facility, because for all of them to get medication and to get help and to see social workers, they ended up having to commit a crime, a small crime, break a window or something like that, to come into the jails to get their services and medications. But then what happened? Bail reform, right? Now you don't go to jail for those little things. So now they're out in the street. And I think the state politicians didn't think that they created this ecosystem right here. So now if they're not going to jail, what are we going to do with them?
It's chaos. It's not good. It's not good for them. It's like every society's measured with how it treats its mentally ill, it's incarcerated, and it's elderly, and it's poor, right? We do a terrible job on all of those things. And the thing that drives me to distraction is, do you guys know how big the New York City budget is? It's next year. It's going to be something like $118 billion, right?
Wow,
if you
crazy.
added up Los Angeles, the center of Los Angeles, and all the counties around it, their budget's somewhere in the 30 to $40 billion range. Ours is 118 billion, but yet we can't figure out how to give the services that are necessary to make all the parts of our system work. That's why I wanted to run, because I know how to solve these things, and that's what I want to do.
We have a question from, and I don't know about this, so maybe you can speak to. Yeah, she asked a question. Speaking of the NYPD, if you can speak on it, wondering what you think about the 30 plus NYPD officers who are facing possible termination. I believe a judge has put a hold on it now. I'm not sure what she's talking about, but maybe and can speak on it. If you don't worry about it.
Yeah, I'm not aware. I mean, the only thing that I was aware of is that a bunch of officers got fired for not taking the COVID vaccine, and some of them, those cases are still going on. It may be that she's talking about, and I have taken a public position on this, which is I would rehire those people that were fired for not taking the vaccine. I'm a vaccine guy. I believe in science, but I also believe that people should be able to make their own decisions, and to fire people when generally a lot of people weren't showing up to work anyway seemed crazy to me. Cops obviously had to show up, but there were plenty of ways to put them on modified duty because there were so fewer people in the city. So if that's what she's talking about, that I put this in writing, which is on day one, I would rehire every single public servant who was fired for not taking the vaccine. And if it ever happened again, I would have a completely different system where we would work with each individual person to try to figure out a job that they could do and work out that on a person by person basis.
Yeah, so we're going to move on. I wonder, so when I did a journalism fellowship with the Craig Newmark Graduate School of Journalism, and one of the things they had me cover was the last New York City race and the first year of ranked choice voting.
Oh, wow.
So what is your opinion and your thought process on the whole ranked choice voting system?
So 2021 was the first one, and from my perspective, all of the best candidates got chewed up in ranked choice voting. It's the way that the elections are scheduled, to the point that you were making, AJ, before, doesn't do a great service to voters. They should have elections at the same time as federal elections. That's when the turnout's going to be bigger. That's when people are more dialed into politics. They do that for a reason, right? They claim it's a neutral reason, but I don't believe that. And I think my jury's still out on ranked choice voting. I wasn't as dialed into it during 2021, but afterwards, the candidate that I was supporting got chewed up. Catherine Garcia, a lot of other good candidates got chewed up. This time, the Democrats took it to a new level where, this engineering of votes.
Yeah, that was crazy.
Mamdani elected. To me, if that's the way the system works, I don't know if you guys saw this, but I put a proposal out to the other candidates that are now opposing Mamdani. And I'm concerned that we're going to have a spoiler situation where the four candidates that are opposing him are going to split the vote and then end up getting him to walk into City Hall. So I'm concerned about that, not because anyone's putting pressure on me. I mean, I'm the one that's pulling the lowest so far, although my race has just started. But I put it in writing, right? So I challenged the other candidates to a poll at the end of September, the beginning of October. We would all contribute to the poll. We'd work out the details of it, but it's a winner-take-all poll, so that if the Campaign Finance Board allowed this, we would either withdraw or we would throw our support behind the front runner of that poll. And I don't care if I have the surge of the century and I'm 1 point behind the next highest person. If I'm not the top dog, I will step out of the race, because it's much more important that we set up a one-on-one, because I really don't think that centrist Democrats, who are the people that really control elections in the city, I don't think that they're going to vote for a 33-year-old with a paper-thin resume, with pretty radical ideas, who's anti-cop, et cetera, et cetera. I don't believe that centrist Democrats are going to elect this guy when you add Republicans and independents into the mix. And now there's 1 million independents in New York City. They outnumber Republicans.
Right.
So I just don't want there to be a spoiler situation, and I'd rather put my personal ambitions below the interests of the city.
And they found a loophole, if you will, because I actually saw things that said, do not pick Cuomo as your number 2. It didn't tell you who to vote for, but it was just telling you, don't pick Cuomo as the number 2. And I seen this here in Westchester. So I'm sitting here like, yo, wow, they actually, I don't know who, this was a concerted effort. Like, I'm not a Cuomo fan, but I'm just saying this was a concerted effort that he was not ranked number 2, so that he couldn't get those votes that you would need, when they do the whole thing. And I was like, wow, that's really deep. Like, I mean, and there was a lot of that, and I don't think that was one candidate. I think that was across the board. Like,
there are a lot of people.
Well, I mean, it's just like they all piled up on Cuomo. They all said that, don't bring promo for number 2, and it worked, right? It's unfortunate that they in other words, they hacked the system, right? But that shows that it doesn't work.
Right.
That it really doesn't work.
I say that to say, while we needed bail reform, the bail reform needs to be reformed. While ranked choice voting was a good idea, I think we need to be looking at things like that, and we need to reform it so we can prevent things like that. So that was the purpose of me bringing that up. So,
yeah, no, it's a great point.
What else are you passionate about? What else is on your platform?
Education.
Education. I wanted to talk about education, and then let's talk about housing, because
that's what I wanted to talk to you.
Yeah, because Mandami's talking about, I don't know how he's going to pull some of the stuff that he's pulling off. And, let's go into education. Then I really want to talk about housing.
We can go right to housing if you want to.
Okay, yeah, man.
Well, he's offering, I think, rent freezes for I don't have it in front of me, but I know there was a talk of a rent freeze.
So
unless you're going to give some kind of tax break to actually the landlords too, like, I mean, like that hurts. How does that work? Exactly. I mean, and as a renter, I respect a rent freeze more than anybody else. Let me just tell you, but I understand, how the ecosystem actually works.
So do you guys probably know this, right? There's about 440,000 people in New York City that can't afford their rent, even though they're in the rent stabilization cohort, the rent stabilization program. So freezing rents is not going to be helpful. What is going to be helpful is lowering the rents. right? You can do that with free market solutions, right? So, so freezing rents that are already too high sounds like a great punchy slogan, but my plan's fundamentally different, right? What we need is we need more housing, and we've got
Right.
so much regulation and red tape, and we make it so hard on developers and people like Mamdani who call all developers evil. It's like, you're going to shoot the mailman when you want your mail on time. It doesn't make any sense at all.
Right.
So
Right.
I've worked with the development community over the course of the last 23 years, and I know how development works. So I'm going to get 50,000 new rent stabilized apartments built every year that I'm mayor. And I'm going to either build or restore them because there's a whole bunch that have been warehoused. So the first year it's going to be hard to build in that quickly. So in my first year, it's restore. Every year after that, it's going to be new builds. And we're going to have a new program that gives you a rent that's based on your borough. It's not city. It's not based on one of these silly citywide numbers, so that people in Brooklyn and the Bronx are starting at a number they already can't afford. Like the median income for the rent stabilization program is $60,000. There are people that aren't making $10,000, right? So you start with a local adjusted median income AMI, and then you cap it at 25% so that people, that's a livable rent. You do that, and a lot of rent stabilized tenants are going to breathe a sigh of relief. You can get there with a sensible program that has balance and gives trade-offs to developers. You just have to want to do it, and you have to partner with the free market to do it, rather than thinking the government can do it all, because the government can't. Your point is the right one. What are you going to do with the landlords that already are not making capital investments because they're making razor thin margins?
Right.
So it's just not sensible. It's like, it's almost like child's play when you hear these programs and you just go like one level below the surface and you realize he really wants to be the mayor of social media, not the mayor of New York City.
Right. What about the in line with that was the raising? Someone said, why not raise salaries instead of lowering rents? Raise the minimum wage. I think he was talking about minimum wage of $30 maybe, or something like that. And again, as a business owner, independent business owner, a small black business or minority business, you barely can pay. I mean, raising the minimum wage is, people need a livable wage. I get that, but raising it to an astronomical number that the employers can't pay, I don't know how that works. So I mean, there has to be, wages need to go up a little bit, rents need to go down a little bit. How do you navigate that ecosystem? How do you, to make it more livable for New York City residents?
Right. So part of it really is, I mean, one of the reasons that we have taxes is to have the best safety net available. We could have a better safety net if we just got our act together and we could run the city in a reasonable way. Continuing to tax and increase taxes on businesses and putting unfunded mandates on them is really just going to chase more businesses out of the city. I mean, just to get a building built is so expensive now that a lot of developers have literally said, I'm not developing in New York anymore because I just can't make enough money. They want to do the same thing with landlords, right? There are landlords in Staten Island and the Bronx that are making like a 2% margin. How are they going to have money to invest? So I don't know whether or not wages need to go up in certain sectors, or there's a way to partner with industries in order to attract better paying jobs. But that's my plan. Revolves around relieving a lot of the regulatory red tape that makes business harder to do in New York, and bringing new businesses here, businesses with good paying jobs with benefits, to increase the tax base. The larger the tax base, the lower you can have taxes and still have even more money for a safety net. That's a well-functioning free market economy where we can lift people up. So I'll give you a good example. I have a kids in poverty program that's going to be part of the housing program that I have. Kids in poverty is a way to set aside a nest egg for the 29,000 kids that are born in poverty every year in New York City. each one of them will get a payout when they're 18 years old that they can use to, buy a home or pay for an education or pay for vocational school or have a nest egg. So that money will be there for them. We'll tie it to attendance rates at school to make sure we give kids and parents an incentive to show up for school. That'll be better outcomes. That's a way to use our system to lift people up. And that's what I want to do.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead.
No, we're going to move into education.
Okay.
Right. That was a league way right into
right. That's what I was going to say. Right. Yeah, that was a segue into
education.
Yeah.
What is your education plans? Because I've been big on really putting trade back in schools. So young people. I mean, I did an article. There's 800,000 open jobs and trades that we're not preparing our young children to be part of that market, and it's a great way to raise a family, have benefits, and either become an entrepreneur. A plumber is more valuable than a social media icon, right? But we're not preparing. I have this argument in Westchester. We're not preparing especially our young black men, to go out here and get these opening jobs, that are open. With AI, we don't even know which way AI is taking a lot of jobs, but you need a plumber. You need a heat pipe person.
It's so funny. AI can do a lot of things, but it can't build a building, right? It can't fix a toilet. It can't fix a sink, right? So I completely agree with you. And there's a lot of money and security and benefits and good that can come out of really investing in bringing back things like shop and vocational trades, and not just literally leaving that to the private sector to squeeze people that can't afford the extra tuition to learn how to fix a car and become a mechanic, which is obviously super important and even more complicated now with the development in cars and the switch to hybrids and electrics. So we need capable people in that sector. I want to bring an electric car company to New York City and have a program to replace the entire fleet of city cars and taxis with electric and build infrastructure. We're going to need people for those jobs. So I agree, it's excellent. But in addition to that, I really want to help the kids that are struggling in disadvantaged communities in particular. Like I'm a public school kid. I was almost left behind by my school. I literally made it out once they realized that I wasn't an idiot, that they put me in the kinds of programs that helped me get where I am today. But there's too many kids in our schools in New York City that are failing because the system's not supporting them enough. So in fourth grade and eighth grade, these kids can't even read at grade level. They can't do math at grade level. So that's going to be another area where I'm going to focus. I'm going to really shrink school sizes in a pilot program in disadvantaged communities. So there's like 8 to 10 kids, and I'm going to put master teachers in those classrooms with professional support to try to get kids up to an 80% proficiency rate in my first term. It's going to be hard to do. It's an ambitious goal. But if we leave those kids behind, their educational opportunities are just done.
Right.
And that's the future. Exactly. One of our viewers was asking, what's your views on charter schools? There's always that charter school versus public school thing. And, they're having in New York State, all over right now. Westchester, we have that. Now, Vernon, we're having that conversation. So what's your views on charter schools?
Mets versus Yankees.
Okay.
It's a false choice in my view. I mean, a part of this is because there are issues with charter schools and the teachers union. Listen, people deserve choice, right? People should be able to choose charter schools, parochial schools, yeshivas, private schools. They should be able to have choice, and choice is good. Choice makes us better, and choice now gives us the opportunity to try to co-locate schools. So there's also economic diversity that kids are growing up in as they're going to school. So there's nothing but good things that come out of choice. So I'm a supporter, but at the same time,
what do you say to those who say, like, So if you have money, you can afford to send your child to private school. You can afford, but those who can't and their children need help, you know what I'm saying? Then they can't go to charter schools and private schools and all of that.
So there's a couple of solutions to that, AJ. Number one is to try to help private schools bring more kids in on scholarships the way they do in college. I mean, I could never have afforded my college. I mean, I literally was on my own. My parents didn't pay a dime. I had to like figure out how to do it. And the school gave me a lot of financial aid. But now there are a lot of private schools that are super wealthy, and there are grants that can help get disadvantaged kids into private schools and into charter schools and into parochial schools. And I think that that's a great thing. So I don't want to have a two-tiered system. I want to bring the public schools up to the level where, you know, we have Stuyvesant, we have Bronx Science, we have really amazing schools that are really well run. We've shown that public schools can give the same or better outcomes than some private schools. We just got to get our act together to get the job done. And mayor after mayor after mayor just hasn't tackled the tough problems. So what happens? You know, you leave the rotting fruit on the counter. What's going to happen, right? You're going to attract a lot of flies and get stink. That's really what's happened in our political system for as long as I've been in New York, which is a long time.
Damon?
How would you climate and infrastructure goals? That's what I wanted to talk about. Now, you know, New York City got a lot of smoke and things going on, and you know, I'm into health and wellness, and part of the thing is the air that we breathe. You know, especially in the hard parts of New York. How as mayor, how would you affect more clean air for the city?
Yeah.
What would be your plan?
Yeah, so if you don't mind, if I can expand on that just a little bit, because there's two things. There's kind of like the cleanliness of the environment that we have, and then there's also resilience against climate change that's here, right? We see that it's here, right? And we're not nearly where we need to be when the next superstorm Sandy hits. So, so there's a big plane that's got to be landed there, and guess what? There are billions of dollars in Washington that are earmarked for resilient infrastructure that we need. So it's a super complicated thing. So I'll just talk about kind of the top line issues. Number one, I'm going and getting the pollution in the waterways around, particularly around the Bronx and Queens, because those have been a blight on communities, on health, on development and building more housing. So that's one of the things that I want to go after. I don't want to have another situation like Gowanus, where we have all these huge buildings now where people are moving in, their families are moving in, and there's still toxic material underneath the surface. The EPA hasn't even finished the study yet to tell us how bad it is, because they built before they did all the testing.
Wow.
Number two, I want to be the mayor for the waterfront, right? There's so many things that we can do with the waterfront. We've never had a deputy mayor who's in charge of the waterfront, so that we have an enforceable and unified policy on things like, now getting to your point, on projects like the Billion Oyster projects to kind of rebuild some of the things that we need in the water to keep the water clean. And we got to land the plane if we want to get better quality of air. Traffic is a big deal, and the way that we've gone about trying to solve this problem doesn't make any sense. What we need is a program to convert all of our cars to electric cars, and we need a plan to paint all of our roofs white or have reflecting material on every roof that is possible. And we need composters in our kitchens, because that technology is now available. It's a better solution. It creates less waste, less rats, etc. So there's a billion things that we need to be doing, but we're prioritizing vanity projects and virtue signaling projects, which is why we have a tremendous amount of waste in our city budget. If we redirect that money to the things that we really need, like a water barrier, which has never been completed across the area to protect the city from a massive water surge, we can get these problems solved.
I wanted you spoke about. I wanted your thoughts on the whole congestive pricing thing and the subway infrastructure.
Oh yeah. Look, do you want me to just jump in?
Yes, Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
So by the time I would start as mayor, the congestion pricing ship will have sailed. I really wanted to be in a position to stop the program because it was rolled out in such a haphazard way that there are exceptions that are really necessary for public servants, for example, for people who live in the zone but are still paying congestion pricing for leaving, which makes no sense. So if I had my druthers, I'd stop it, re-engineer it, and then maybe relaunch it if we need it. But we should have just had better planning. I mean, if we want less congestion and less carbon, there were better ways to go about it than smacking people with sticks over driving. We would have given them better alternatives to choose to get out of their cars. So I'm a carrot and a sticks guy. I believe in carrots first and sticks only when and if you need them. That's like the way government should work. So I would have started with programs to incentivize drivers to get out of their cars, including, by the way, not rolling out congestion pricing when we were having an epic problem with crime. Talk about like common sense. Hey, how about not trying to force drivers out of their cars while people are getting murdered on the subway? So that's kind of where I land with congestion pricing. AJ, what was the second part of your question?
You went when you started to go there, the subway infrastructure.
Oh yeah,
making the subway, working on the infrastructure and also making it safe. Safer for people to use that more and get off the roads.
Yeah. So I'll deal with both. And this issue about the infrastructure, it's like I'm losing my hair already. By the time I'm done on this issue, I'm going to be completely bald because it just drives me crazy. Do you guys know why we can't have trains like they have in London or Tokyo? Because the signals literally date back to the creation of the subway. So we've got somewhat modern trains that are using a signal system that's more than a century old. Like, no wonder that the trains don't run that well, right? So the problem that nobody ever wants to tackle, despite the billions of dollars that the MTA has, is you got to close down some of these lines to strip out the signals, to put new signals in, and they're going to cost like $2 billion a piece just to replace the infrastructure. And then you're going to have to incur costs to make adjustments to allow people other ways to commute during this closure. So I haven't landed the plane on this, but I'll tell you what my goal is, and it's to take back control of the subway, right? I want the funding from Albany, at least for a long period of time, so that we can get our house in order, get the signals replaced, and have trains that are clean, that are safe, and that we can be proud of, so that people come and they say, oh my God, in the greatest city in the world, they actually have the greatest subway system in the world. Wouldn't that be a great objective? But in the meantime, at a baseline, AJ, you're 100% right. We've got to do a better job on the subways. I mean, we've seen crime come down a little bit, but there's still a massive number of assaults. Part of that's got to do with recidivists getting out of jail. And think about what just happened on the J train. The guy that attacked that woman, did you guys see that video on social media?
Yes.
Yes. Yeah. On a platform, a guy tries to either kidnap her or whatever he was trying to do. Thank God brave people came in and stopped it. But that guy got out of jail the same night that he got arrested. It's crazy. Jesus. He's on video assaulting a woman on a subway. So we have to fix that problem.
And this is.
I want to say something.
That pisses me off, man. I don't even.
The subway thing. So, like, you know what I was thinking? Like, remember when they were trying to attract? Was it Target or whoever it was to build that? Was it Target to build in the Queens area? One of the things that, like, I seen in a local level, right? So, Dave and Buster opened up a location near us, right? But the next city over, Pella Manor, they did a survey and showed that it was going to be more on police resources, more on this, more on that, and had them as part of the package. And moving in, they had to put up an extra $1 million or whatever it was, the money that it would cost the city for those extra resources. When you had Target, I was like, yo, it would have been great if you had brought them in, gave them an incentive, but also in bringing them in, had them work on the infrastructure of the 7 train, which is the train that would have been going there, which needed a lot of work and everything. And that would have been a great way of getting our subway up to date and bringing business to the thing at the same time. It was Amazon. I'm sorry, I said Target. Thank you, Jack. It was Amazon. We need to think out the box like that. Like, you know what I'm saying?
You want a job in City Hall, AJ? Because I can already tell that you guys are great ideas. Yeah, so I mean, you're using common sense. That's not allowed these days, apparently.
No, absolutely not. It's insane. Politics is just it's insanity. It's just straight insanity at this point. I don't want to keep you, but we saved this one for the last one.
Hope it's a hot potato.
How are you going to work with the Trump administration as mayor?
Listen, listen, it's going to take people one Google search to find out my position with respect to the president and January 6th. So there's no question about my advocacy there. But listen, I'm in a different chapter of life, right? I want to be the mayor of New York City. I want to have a productive relationship with Washington. They need us and we need them. I mean, we generate more wealth for this country than any other city. There's more than $1 trillion of value from all over the country that comes through New York. They need us to be a fully functioning city with an adult in charge of City Hall. So that gives us some leverage. So, I've given what I hope is the resume that I built of, I've sued Republicans, I've sued Democrats. I've worked with Republicans, I've worked with Democrats. I've worked with a lot of people in the center. I think that I can work with them. Now, working with them means by New York values. So they want cooperation on criminal migrants. Okay, I get it. No, like we should start there. They want to tear families apart. No, they want to show up in immigration courts and pull people out. I'm not down with that. I think it's a terrible idea. And all it does is cause people not to go to court. And then you don't even know where they are. So it doesn't make any sense whatsoever. I believe in due process of law. So I'm going to, use our leverage because, for 30 years, I've been cutting some pretty important deals between warring factions in terms of the practices that I've had. So I want to cooperate where we can and have self-determination where we need. And that's true with respect to Washington. It's true with Albany. A lot of times Albany's telling us what to do and giving us unfunded mandates that makes the city harder to manage. So we have to, we're New York City. Like we're tough, we're gritty, and we shouldn't have anyone, whether it's Albany or the federal government, telling us what to do on things that are within our purview. That's the way I want to run City Hall.
Anything we didn't ask you that you want people to know? And also, even though I put it on the website, people were asking for your website. So I put it up, but give your website, how people can contact you, and anything that we didn't ask you that you want people to know.
Well, it's very kind. I want to first say, before I say anything else, thank you guys for having me on because I really enjoyed the discussion, and I hope I can come back. My website,
man, you're welcome, bro.
Thank you. My website is jim4nyc.com. That's JIMFORNYC.com. And the only thing that I would say, but we kind of touched on this already, is I understand that we've lived through a clown car of politics in this city, in City Hall and in other elected offices. I just want people to understand whether they vote for me or not, it doesn't have to be this way. Right. We can have people that really want to do the job. They're not trying to be governor. They're not trying to be president. They just want to go serve, do a really good job, and make people proud of City Hall again. And like, when was the last time that we could really say that we had a City Hall that we could be proud of for every community? So that's what I want to do. And I hope people hold me accountable because, my policies are there and that's what they're intended to do.
You said, hope we have you back on. Hope that you will come back on, especially if you win. Hopefully you will use us as an avenue to keep informing the people. Also whatever you feel passionate about that you're want to address for politics or whatever, I hope that you just reach out and we have a regular relationship and you let everybody know what's going on in New York City that we need to know about.
Wait, so I'll make you a deal, which is, I don't know if you guys saw this, but one of the things that I want to do for government transparency and also to bring needed resources to communities that are traditionally unseen, like Mott Haven, I want to have satellite city halls where I literally go work there. So we'll do a couple podcasts, assuming I get elected, obviously, up there, so it's closer to you guys coming down from Westchester, and it'll be great. We'll do it right in the satellite city hall in Mott Haven, the Bronx.
Yeah, that would be great, bro.
What do you feel? Also, the purpose of the purpose of the fellowship I was on was about independent media, and there's a lot of various independent media of all different kinds. And what is your stance on working with independent media, not just the mainstream media, to get the word out, because they give the word to those communities, you know?
Listen, I'll give you my experience, right? Was that the first policy, is it okay if I answer this?
Yes, please.
Yeah.
The first policy that I put out, because it was right at the time when both President Trump and Eric Adams were being very disrespectful to the media and putting in like rules and conditions that, listen, I don't expect everyone to love me. I don't expect everyone to kowtow to me, whether I'm mayor or I'm not mayor. I believe that the media is critically important to the preservation of our democracy, particularly the independent media. So I put out a policy. The first policy I put out was with, my relationship with the media and what I was going to do to make sure that we didn't replicate this. But one thing about the media that I will just say that I wish that we could improve is that there was more openness in the mainstream media to candidates like me, because it has been very hard to get the media. And let's be honest, most of the reporters are Democrats, whether they say so or not. It's very hard to get them and their publishers to give a platform to candidates, even ones that did as much public service as I did. So I think that we need more independent media like you guys, and I'm fully in support of it.
That was one of the selling points once I seen that Damon had invited you, that I was really eager, because again, like I said, I really didn't hear your name much before Damon made the probe. I did actually do an article listing all the candidates, so you were definitely listed. But other than that, I didn't hear much about you, and I had to look you up before having you on the show. And I hope that, this video, because, a lot of people watch live, but much more people watch it after the fact, that people will see this and, people can make more informed decisions at the ballot box.
Absolutely.
This is our goal. And hopefully, we help shine more of a light on what you represent and everything. And, we would, if you win or lose, we'd like to have a relationship with you. But if we win, we definitely have a relationship with you. And even though this is a great interview, if you mess up, we're gonna hold your feet to the fire.
I love it. But when I have the surge and I'm at like 25%, we have to do this again. But we have to do it all together in a room, and we'll laugh.
Yeah, absolutely.
About the whole thing.
Yeah, man. Absolutely. That's great, man. But thank you, man. Thank you for your time.
Oh, come on.
I know you're busy. You got a lot of things to do, and we thank you for coming on and discussing. And like AJ said, win or lose, man, you're welcome back to the show. We love to have the conversation, especially around New York City, to let people know, because even though we're based in Westchester, people will call people in New York City. A lot of people from the Bronx watch the show, and it's just a beautiful thing to have you on, so people can know who you are, because it's all about choice, and it's all about making a good choice to whatever people feel that they need for themselves in New York City. So we want to give them, the great everybody. We want to give them everybody, man, so they could choose, man. And,
well, can I say
thank you again.
Your Bronx followers? I'm sorry to interrupt. Yeah.
And if you win, just don't follow your predecessor De Blasio and ship your homeless up here, because we're gonna have a problem. De Blasio was busting homeless people to Mount Vernon.
Listen, where they put homeless and the drug treatment centers, somebody should do a map of all those and see which counties have the most. I'm dialed into that issue. But for your people in the Bronx, invite me out to your block. I want to come meet you. So go to Jim@Jim4NYC.com. That's Jim@Jim4NYC.com. Invite me. I literally am doing a citywide tour. You guys are going to laugh. You should join me on it. So we've got a 2-car caravan wrapped in campaign swag, and we're playing a playlist that's got great stuff. It's like Stevie Wonder and and like the Bee Gees and like all the 70s kind of disco stuff. And we're driving all around the city and making people laugh and smile, and it's going to be great. So for those people in the Bronx, give us a buzz, give us an email, and we'll come up and see you.
All right.
Definitely. Thank you, man.
Thank you for your time and good luck.
Thank you. And now we're gonna segue.
Well, that was just before everybody. So that was one of the New York City mayoral candidates. A couple of people were asking. Jim Walden, he's independent. He's running for New York City. We're trying to bring you some of the candidates, especially those who are not getting the getting the press, because all I'm hearing about is the Cuomo and Van Damme and Eric Adams, like nobody else was running. So we're glad that he came. And shout out to our next guest who made that invitation, made that possible for us to have Jim Walden on. Latina Brown, friend of the show, been holding it down.
Welcome, Chris. Welcome.
Hi guys. Good
She's
evening.
been holding it down.
Time.
If you follow her on social media, you know. She does not bite her tongue, and she gives it to those who ain't doing right. She's on top of them. So,
well, I took a page out of you and Damon's book. We got to start holding people accountable, right?
Yep.
Exactly,
Well, you're definitely doing it, because I see. Don't agree with everything, but I see you stand on 10 toes down. You definitely out there. So,
well, thank you guys for having me on. I greatly appreciate it. Isn't Jim amazing? Like,
yeah.
Oh my goodness. I wish that media would pay more attention to him and give him more of a platform. But I'm just so happy that independent media is giving independent candidates a voice, because that's so necessary. It's needed, especially in a time where we're having these elections and there's a lot going on. I'm pretty sure that you guys know what's happening in New York City, and you're probably like what is this? What's going on? So yeah, let's
we had to get the person that have an ear to the street to come on, because
back in the days when Chuck D used to do interviews from Public Enemy, a lot of the major media be like, "Yo, tell them why you mad, Chuck. What's on your mind, Chuck?" So tell them why you mad, sis. What's on your mind, sis?
Oh my goodness. I think we're all mad, right? We all should be mad, right?
Right.
Absolutely.
Like look at the people we have in office, the people that we trusted, the people that we supported, and they've been such disappointing to the communities. Like I think it's not just New York City, but I think you guys are having some issues. I see that Mount Vernon has been in the news a lot lately with your mayor. I'm like, well, what is happening?
Yeah. Matter of fact, I think all our leaders, just like all the way across the board, like every institution in Mount Vernon, the library, the school system, everybody's been in the media.
Yeah. I see that.
Yeah, but we try to educate the people the best way possible, so
okay, so someone asked this question earlier, and they want to know if you know, and I'm going to go back to it. It's about some NYPD officers who are facing termination. Do you know about that?
I'm not aware of the situation. I know that there was some things that came out in the article regarding, their qualifications, and 30 officers were immediately removed. We don't know the full background of that investigation, but I do know that, the police commissioner, she's been responding to it. We're just waiting for the facts to roll out. I never go off of what somebody else posts on social media. I want to be sure of what's happening. And so we're just waiting for the facts to roll out. And I hope and pray to God that, everything gets sorted out with those officers, because 30 cops, and you mean to tell me that, people at the top level in NYPD didn't do their jobs, and they didn't make sure that, everything was set in place for these officers who came fresh out the academy? Yeah, something is wrong. So I'm just going to wait for the facts to roll out.
Yeah, she said they lied about prior convictions and other matters, prior arrests and employment termination or something like that.
Yeah, that's what I heard. I heard like little clips of it. And I said, let me just wait and see what happened, because the facts are still rolling out. But that's very alarming. And I want to see how the police commissioner is going to handle it.
Right. Well, sometimes it happens, man, because you put in those requests and you're dealing with other municipalities that take their time.
Yeah.
And sometimes, and if you don't get, as an investigative officer, if you don't get anything, all right, we're going to pass them through. The next thing you know, they done went through the academy and did everything. Then all of a sudden, you go to your email, or back in the day, it used to be the fax, the fax machine. And here's all this stuff coming out about these officers. And you was like, yo, what happened to this? Right. Or it could be that they missed the information that was sent. Right. We really don't know, like, until if that's the case, a lot of times people botch background checks.
Right.
And 30 out of what, 1,000, 2,000, 1,500 in academy. That's really not that bad, right? It's really not that bad. But if they did lie, you know, on their interview and on their application about these issues, then they should be terminated. I'm from old school. If they lied about it, you know, a lot of times, you know, I mean, if you could still be a cop if you have a misdemeanor, you know, and if you tell the truth about it.
Right.
And if it's nonviolent, but if you have a felony, no, you can't be a cop. You could be a fireman with a felony, but you can't be a cop. So,
correct.
So the whole thing is, did they lie, right? Or did they tell the truth? You know, about the background, about whatever with their background checks, did they tell the truth? So if they lied, then they have to be accountable and they should be dismissed.
I agree with you 100%. And we also have to take into consideration the people who did the background check. Because when I worked for NYPD, it literally took them almost 2 months to verify my background. And of course, I had to come in with to prove my education, to prove everything, just so that I can, you know, start working for NYPD in a civilian role. It took them 2 months. So they made sure they dotted their I's and crossed their T's. So somewhere down the line, somebody failed to do their job, or they chose to overlook the situation. So that's why I said we have to wait and see what else comes out later on after the investigation's conducted, because you need to know who are the people that's behind the scenes that's, you know, overlooking these things, because that's very alarming.
So talk about, I know you in the Bronx, talk about that's, and that's right over the border for a lot of us. Yeah, you know, so like I always said in my book of hip hop, you know, they didn't respect us as hip hop, but we, unlike the boroughs, we ain't had to catch no bridge to go to the Bronx. We right there, like
you just walk across the block,
right?
Like,
right. So y'all have you got a bunch of races. I know you got the borough president race. She has a strong candidate. She has somebody running against her.
No, she did very well in the primary.
Is she?
Congratulations to borough president Vanessa Gibson. I knew she was going to win that re-election, hands down. She did an amazing job. And also, thank you to Vanessa Gibson, Honorable Vanessa Gibson, for working and reaching out to Republicans, conservatives, and independents. Like, she really stepped up to the plate, because in the past, I don't know if you are aware, Democrats, the you know, progressives, refused to sit down and talk to the conservatives and Republicans and independents. And I don't think it's right, because they pay taxes just like everybody else. I'm an independent, and they have a right to have their concerns voiced. And it is, you know, your job as a leader to hear them out and do the right thing by them. And she has stepped up tremendously. She is setting an example. And I just wanted to give her a shout out for that.
Shout out to her. And she's in my book. I did a book celebrating Black women of Westchester, but gave her an honorary mention because she made history, and she's right across the board. But you know, that leads me to believe, like, where we are right now, we're in echo chambers. We're only speaking to people who say what we want to hear. We don't speak to the other side who doesn't think like we do. And that never used to be the way. They used to be able to have conversations and even debates without getting ugly. You know what I'm saying? With people who didn't believe like what you believe. But now it's like you don't want to talk to the other side at all. Like, we're not even going to have a conversation, and you can't really get anything done that way.
I agree 100%. We need more leaders to start paying attention to their constituents, regardless of their political affiliations. And I think that's where we're having that, you know, that issue in New York City. Look what we're going through right now. We have a socialist communist who just became the Democratic nominee. And I blame the Democratic Party for letting it get to this point. Like, had you listened more and paid attention more to your constituents, this would have never happened. I don't think that Manzami would have been a Democratic nominee if they would have paid more attention to the other side, especially our Black men. Our Black men are so upset. You know, they've been disenfranchised, they've been disrespected and ignored. They have not been getting the support that they should be getting. And this is why we're losing our Black men. They're exiting the Democratic Party. They're going independent. They're becoming Republicans. And it's because, their voices are not being heard. I feel terrible for our Black men. And we need to do more for them. And they need to start acknowledging them and start giving them opportunities. And that's where the Democratic Party is. This is why they're collapsing. The party is fractured right now. There's infighting. There's people who are against socialism. The party has gone too far left. There's no such thing as traditional American values with the party anymore. They talk the talk, but they don't walk the talk the same time. It's just all gaslighting. It's gaslighting in the community, and a lot of people are really upset about it.
And that's why the independent. Damon and I went to an independent party convention probably 8 years ago, or whatever, and they were talking about the numbers of what they were going to be, and from what Jim just said, the numbers are where they predicted they would be. Right, that's the second party now. It's Democrat, Independent, and Republican. They have more independents than they have Republicans, and they can overtake. A lot of Democrats are leaving the Democratic Party because they just don't appreciate what the Democratic Party. I've been an independent for the last 10 years.
I remember.
Yeah, and I they've been trying to get me back and try to make me a district leader and try to get me to run for office, and I'm not doing it.
They pulling the old bribe on you too.
Black folks is especially Black men. They're moving away from the Independence Party because from the Democratic Party. I mean, what Obama pulled in that election, and the talking points that was said to Black men was horrific.
Yes.
It wasn't about Kamala being a Black woman. It was about the actual policies, and they still. I mean, we talked about this last week, AJ, and they still don't understand,
right?
That their policies, as far as it comes to Black men, doesn't exist. We have to see policies that reflect us getting proper education, being able to support our families, being able to be protectors and be providers and being able to have that covering of our family and our wives and children, and even the elderly. So when we don't see policies reflecting that, right? When we just hear, you don't care about Black women. Well, we're going through our own thing too, and we're trying to figure out how we're going to make this maze. And when there's no conversation, like, okay, sis, I understand you feel that way, but we have to address the issues, the mental health crisis among Black men. You don't hear politicians, talk about that. You don't hear them discuss that. No. Masculinity, just being in our masculine selves. You don't hear politicians talk about that, but they talk about women's rights. But what about the right just to be a man and being able to go to work and come home and enjoy your family? What about the right to that? So when all that is pushed aside, what do men do? We just get quiet. Look, we're gonna tell you 1 or 2 times, and this is just not a color. This is men of all races. They just get quiet and do their thing. I could show you better than I could tell you. And what happened? They either didn't come out to vote, or they voted for Trump family values because he said, we're going to work on jobs. We're going to get all this crazy stuff out, whether he was telling the truth or not. So the message, we have to have a better message in the Democratic Party.
They weren't speaking to Black men. I think that was the problem. Like, Black men did not feel like, you weren't speaking to us and you weren't hearing from us. Yes. And I think you heard from a lot of Black men, and I stand by. So a lot of people say she did not win because of sexism. Everyone who did not vote for Kamala Harris is not a sexist. The sexists didn't vote for her. but everyone who didn't vote for her. That's like saying everybody who didn't vote for Obama is a racist. The racists didn't vote for him. The racists didn't vote for him, but everybody who didn't vote for him is not racist. You just can't make blanket statements like that.
Exactly.
There were some people, I know black people who did not resonate with Obama's policies and did not vote for him. I know there are black people that didn't vote for Obama, believe it or not. You know what I'm saying? So, we have to hear from everyone. And I think that the message was lost and black men did not feel heard or seen. And I think that is a lot of what you saw in the election. Now, were there people that did not want her because she was a black woman? Oh, there's a lot of people in that country that feel that way. But that is not the only reason she lost. Black men did not feel seen and heard.
Correct. I absolutely agree with you 100%. And I think that with the mayoral race that's happening in New York City, I think that there's going to be a huge shift in voting. I think we're going to have the largest voter turnout in the history of New York City. I wouldn't be surprised if it's more than 2.5 million that comes out because as you know, Jim Walden stated, the independents, they're going to have that final say in the general election. Believe it or not, the independents are if we had access to the primary, we would totally take it. Our candidates will win. We wouldn't be too far left. We wouldn't be too far right. Independents are the majority. They outnumbered the Republicans and the conservatives. We're literally neck and neck with the Democrats, and we can totally take these elections. But that general election is going to send a very strong message. And believe it or not, Blacks and Hispanics withheld their vote from Mandami in the primary. They voted for Cuomo. Cuomo's support in the Black community shifted to 24 points. The Bronx, he had the Bronx on lock. The Bronx solidly voted for just Cuomo and not Mandami. And a lot of people do not support socialism for New York City or for their district, because we know the downside of socialism. Look what's happening to these countries. Look what's happening to the people fleeing their countries to come to the United States for freedom. Socialism is not good. Socialism will cause the city to collapse. God forbid if we have a socialist country, the country itself will collapse. It is not something that is beneficial to Blacks, Hispanics, Italians. I don't care what your race is. Working families, it is not beneficial to us. It's just a way to control. How would you feel if somebody tells you, hey, you don't deserve to make six figures. You need to give some of that money to somebody else. Or tell you that you can't own your business, that the government has to step in and take over your business. How would you feel about that? As a working person, you work hard, you pour your all into your business, your money. How would you feel if somebody's telling you how to live and what to do with your business and your money? You guys tell me, how would you feel?
Nah, that ain't working for me. But
that's socialism. That's socialism. That's it's.
You know what's important? You know what's important to add to that? So, and with I'm not saying all because I don't want to put everybody in a bunch, but Democrats have not understood that democracy is not what they call democracy, and what they have seen under the Democratic rule is not working for many people in Black and Brown communities.
It's not.
So while the other side may look crazy, some people are like, oh, we just need to change. Like what's going on now just ain't, we don't need more of this. This just ain't working for us. And until you can reach that, the Democrats for too long have benefited from most Black people voting Democrat and even some brown people voting Democrat. So it was just like, I don't have to do nothing for your vote because I already got it.
Exactly.
You understand what I'm saying? And then it was like, now for the Democrats to keep control or to regain control, they're going to have to earn those votes now. They're going to have to re-earn those votes that they took for granted. They're going to have to earn them. And if they don't, they might not see power again. Like, they're going to have to earn those votes. They have to work for them for the first time in a very long time. Not just that you're just gonna get it and you're gonna visit a few big black churches and you good. You know what I'm saying? And you have a fish fry and a basketball tournament and you good. You know what I'm saying? Like you're gonna have to earn them votes. And I think that's what you're seeing now. People like, you're gonna have to earn my vote. And unfortunately, a lot of people are not voting. I don't think is the answer, but some people like, yo, I voted all these other times and my life's not no better. So why should I vote? I think you've seen some of that too.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. That's happening. But I do notice that after Mondami's win, a lot of people exited the party. Friends of mine, members in the community, they left and they became independent and Republican. Now, this is a perfect opportunity for the Republicans to step up to the plate and really take grasp hold of those voters, ex-Democrats, and bring them over to the other side. But they have to be welcoming, number one. And two, they need to go out there and do the groundwork and start building up these coalitions. I don't think the Democrats are going to be in power for a very long time. I mean, after that, I think that was like the final nail to the coffin, because they basically bowed down to communism. And that is not what the party stands for. That's not what the party's about. And it goes against a lot of people's values. And it's a disrespect to people who have voted Democrat for a long time. And I think that people have gotten fed up and they're like, well, my community is not getting any better. And you guys are just profiting off of the backs of poor people. Crime is high. And on top of that, you put illegal aliens above citizens, taxpayers who basically were shunned to the side, and our dollars are going to fund their housing, their medical, and all these things. And you put veterans, low-income families to the back burner. I just don't think it's right. And I don't think that trust can ever be repaired, because we're talking about years of voting Democrat. And they got too comfortable. They got too cocky. They failed. They no longer have that relationship with their constituents. They're not in touch with their constituents. And this goes back to, lack of accountability. And we need to start holding them accountable.
You are right. And not because of this, but in New York City, even some Republicans, younger Republicans, they're going independent too. Like that's why the numbers are growing. It's just not Democrats going there. There's young Republicans that are leaving the party as well. They just you gotta read the room, and you gotta hear what the people we can't keep doing things. The old way is not working. This is the way we used to do it. This is the way we do it. The traditional ways are not work. The people have spoken that the traditional ways are no longer welcomed or working. They can't stay with the status quo. They have to do something different. And whatever group figures that out first, they're the ones that's going to gain the power.
Correct.
That's and Republicans would love to flip a state like New York red. They would love to. And let's not pretend that we didn't have Republican governors here before. Let's not pretend we didn't have Republican mayors of New York City before. And even in Westchester, let's not pretend we ain't have Republican county executives before. Like, all of this stuff is possible. Like, I think we think it can't happen, but it has happened. And we're not talking about back in my mother's time. We're talking about in my lifetime. So, like, these things have happened not too long ago. So let's not act like it can't happen.
Right.
So, Nicole Lucio asked the question: isn't socialism supposed to decrease the wealth gap between the haves and the have-not? I'm not sure if there's a negative side of it. There's a negative.
She said, "I'm sure there's a negative side." She said, "I'm sure."
It's called Russia. It's called Cuba.
Oh yeah, Jamaica. We're going through it too. Jamaica.
It's called Jamaica, right? It's called what's the place that had all the oil? That had all the oil in the Latin American country that had all
Venezuela.
the oil. Yeah, it's called Venezuela. Yeah, that's socialism, and socialism usually leads to more corruption than capitalism.
Thank you.
The thing with capitalism is it grows, but The problem is when they try to unregulate it and then it gets out of control, right? But capitalism allows you to work hard and become rich. If you find your way through the gap, we wouldn't have BET without capitalism. We wouldn't have these black companies that we see now without capitalism. So when people say capitalism is bad, you know, we wouldn't have these businesses without capitalism. The few black businesses that we have. The problem is that we don't understand proper economics as black people. And we're not becoming producers. If we were a producing community, not a consuming community, then we wouldn't be having this conversation about capitalism. If we were producing, we're not producing, we're consuming. So it's easiest for them to tell us that capitalism is bad.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So what else is going on in the Bronx, sis?
Well, we have some, not just the Bronx, but I think just overall in New York City, under AOC's district, I don't know if you've been tuning in, there's issues with gangs and human trafficking. So the illegals that came into the city have been trafficking women and trafficking children. So there's been like back-to-back media coverage in her district, which is Jackson Heights, Astoria, those areas. It's now called the Red Light District because she chose to ignore, you know, the issues that's happening in her congressional district. And keep in mind, City Council also legalized prostitution. So they know the law.
Wait, what?
City Council, we have issues at the local, state, and federal level. And people want to talk about socialism is great. I'm talking about the transplant because not native New Yorkers support it. We are living in AOC's district, which is a perfect example of what socialism looks like. We are living in a city that's ran by city council members. Majority of them support socialism. They're progressive, socialist, whatever you want to call it. I tell people when you come to New York City.
Wait, I'm stuck on. When did this happen? Because I can't find that. I'm Googling this now.
Oh,
when did they legalize prostitution?
It was introduced on a local level through Councilwoman Tiffany Caban, who said that women have a right to prostitute and that it is considered income and that they should not be punished legally for prostitution. You can
so there's been discussion. So it says there's been discussion for proposed legislation aimed at decriminalizing sex work and protecting sex workers. Prostitution still remains illegal in New York City, though.
Oh no! They've been letting it happen. It's been happening like.
But it's not a law, though. That's what I'm saying.
It's been introduced. It's
been introduced. I just want to clear up stuff like yeah.
It's been voted on, but it hasn't passed yet. Tiffany Caban introduced it. But
it says there's proposed legislation. There is proposed legislation.
I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised with the members that we have in office now. I would not be surprised that this thing get passed because if you go into AOC's district, I live in her district. We see it all. Okay.
So they're not punishing them. They're just letting it go. It's not making it legal. They didn't make a law that is legal though.
Not yet. I misspoke.
Okay, no, that's what I'm just saying, right? As of right now, there is not legal in New York City.
Yes. But Tiffany Caban introduced it, and she's been advocating for it along with her colleagues. And they're talking about women's rights and how it's important that this should be legalized. It's sending the wrong message. Okay.
One of my readers just said AOC district has Roosevelt Avenue in Queens looking like Hunts Point back in the 90s.
Yes. Did you? So I don't know if you guys also read that the leaders, district leaders and community members came together and they had to reach out to the feds. They got the feds' attention because there is human trafficking as well. What happened to the children that came into the U.S., into the city with these women that came through the border? Not one elected official have said a word about the missing children.
I just talked about that.
Damon, you and I had a conversation about it. Where is the New York AG on this? Why hasn't anybody spoken about the missing children?
I just wrote about it.
And on top of that, you have women coming in saying that these are my kids, but they don't have identities. You don't ask for their identification. You don't ask for their name. You don't ask for proof that these are their children. These kids are left in the city alone, trafficked, and nobody can seem to find them. 300,000 children that came into this country missing.
Exactly.
Mind-boggling. And not one elected official has said a word about it, except for Mayor Adams. I do give him credit. He has said something about it, and all of the elected officials try to downplay it, and they've been silent about it. But where's the New York AG on this?
She's still worried about Trump. He's still chasing Trump or being chased by Trump right now.
Correct. Correct.
But right now. You know, I think we really have to ask these questions, man. Like, I just recently saw a clip of Hakeem Jeffries talking about we got to be stronger at the border. I'm like, dude, like, where you haven't been watching the news? Is zero crossings. The border is not even a discussion anymore. I don't know why is he bringing up the border when we have all these issues in New York that he really needs to, that he should be addressing.
Right.
You know, they're gonna have the Democrats is gonna have a problem. Like I did a story on AOC. She was the highest fundraiser in the first quarter of this year,
right,
at $10 million. And her district is having all these problems. You know, it doesn't, like, how do you do that? How do you fly around, talk about oligarchy, but you fly in a private jet?
Right.
Right.
We had her opponent on. I don't know, Latina Michelle something. A couple of elections ago, MMC was her initials. She ran against AOC. She lost miserably, but she ran against her, and she was trying to call that out. It was 1 or 2 elections ago. Michelle something.
Michelle Caruso.
Yes. We had her on
campaign.
Yeah, we had her on, and she was pointing all that out. It just didn't resonate enough with the voters because she lost.
Well, we feel it. We're feeling it. We're feeling it.
I mean, she came on here and discussed all the things you're talking about that district and how AOC has not been doing whatever she needed to do for the district. Yeah, and Michelle talked about that too, and you know, and we invited AOC to come on the show. She didn't, and but Michelle, we had a whole interview with Michelle. She talked about the whole thing, and you know.
Yeah. Like they don't go on a lot of shows, you know. Chris Cuomo, they don't go on PDB podcast. It's one of the biggest shows. They don't go on. They don't go on Joe Rogan. Stephen A. Smith has invited AOC and Jasmine Crockett to come on the show numerous times. Mm-hmm. And the greatest debate I want to see is homeboy from Florida and Jasmine Crockett. Like, he challenged her to have a debate on the actual issues.
Well, you know, Congressman Byron Donalds. Oh, he's amazing.
You know, I saw Byron Donalds on Charlemagne and them, and he literally handled himself well. You know, I think as black people, black people, we should not shun people because they're in a different political party. I think that is so immature, and ignorant of grown people that we don't understand that diversity is our power. I was just having this conversation with Stephen Lewis. I said, in Westchester County, there's no difference between a Republican and a Democrat. I said, because you could go, many of these white folks that got money, the husband's the Republican and the wife is a Democrat. And they'll raise money for whoever they feel that they're supporting them.
Absolutely. The wife raised money for Latimer. The husband raised money for Trump. That right here.
Exactly. In the same house,
They,
right?
Yeah,
in the same, not on the same date, but in the same house.
Right.
So it doesn't matter who wins, they win.
Right.
And I don't understand why Black people
We are terrible to each
are
other.
listening to D.L. Hughley. Why are you listening to this motherfucker?
Yo,
He's an idiot.
Trump said in the first debate, what was that, 2016, whatever that first, before the first presidency, the first debate, he was like, I put money in every one of these candidates' pockets on both sides of the aisle.
Exactly.
He was a person with money, and he hedged his bets, and he had money on both sides. So, I mean, that's, we need to.
I need to address that. That's not what Byron Donald said. We have to be exact in what he said. And he made the point.
Wait, what is he saying that he said? He said made a mockery
about it was a thing about Jim Crow, right?
Oh, I remember that.
Byron Donald made a point that Black families were together even through Jim Crow, which he's correct. Until 1964, through Jim Crow, through segregation, through all that stuff, the Black family marriage rate was higher than white people, or equal, and then sometimes it was higher. And that's what Byron Donald was talking about. Ignorant Jasmine Crockett and these Negro politicians ran with it and flipped it on them. But that's not what he was saying, in which he's correct. Black people have the lowest marriage rate right now, and they have the highest unwed birth rate. And in the 60s, in the 50s, and in the 40s, it was reversed.
Mm-hmm.
It was reversed. So we technically went backwards. And that's what his conversation was about. Not that Jim Crow was good. It was about that the Black family was more intact, even through Jim Crow, and which he is historically correct. He's historically correct. And then you can also read Thomas Sowell's book, and he talks about it also. And not only that, there's a report called The Black Family by a New York representative, in which he talks about it also. And at that time of the report, the out of birth rate of Black families was only 25%, and they were calling it a crisis.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So just so everybody knows, so back in June 5th, 2024, he received a lot of Democratic criticism for saying the Black family was together during Jim Crow. He was in Philadelphia, and he said the Black family was more together during Jim Crow era of racial segregation. You see, during Jim Crow, the Black family was together. During Jim Crow, more Black people were not just conservative, because Black people were always been conservative minded, but we voted more conservatively. And he talked about Black families were more, we had Black families together more during the era of Jim Crow. So that is the exact quote. And it was in Philadelphia, June 5th, 2024. And this is the reporting from CNN and the Philadelphia.
But even Jasmine Crockett twisted it. She flipped it on Charlemagne, and that's when Byron Donalds responded to Jasmine Crockett. Then let's debate. Then since you want to misquote me, then let's debate on the issues.
Right.
Let's debate on the issues. Let's
talk
about.
I just wanted to clarify what he said. I'm not a fan, but I'm just saying this is
Well,
that is.
it's not even
No,
about
no,
being
listen,
a fan.
listen. Let me finish. I said I'm not a fan, but I want to clarify what he actually said.
Yeah, but it's
and
not
what,
about
and
being
what his,
a fan.
and what his quote was exactly. And I
Right.
read the
But
quote
again,
exactly
it's not
as he
about
said
being
it.
a fan. It's about having facts. And
Yeah.
and what he said, whether it came from a Republican or independent or a Democrat, that statement was correct.
And numbers don't lie.
How do
You
we
can look at
deal?
the
So how
data.
do we deal with the truth?
All right, you're saying the same thing I'm saying. I'm just saying. I'm like,
No. What I'm saying is, it doesn't matter if we agree with him or not.
To me, it matters if I'm a fan or not.
For
I'm just
you.
saying. But
Overall.
what I'm saying is, as someone who's not a fan, I'm telling you that's exactly what he said. You know what I'm saying? I'm not telling you because I'm a fan of his. I'm telling you what he said because the facts is the facts. That's what I'm saying.
No, it's a fact of what he said, but what he said was also facts, right? And when we twist it to make it look like that the Jim Crow, he was praising Jim Crow, we still missed the point of what he's saying, and they did that, and they did that on purpose.
And they did it to like misinformed voters, because you have people who don't read up on the history about Jim Crow, or they don't know much information about Jim Crow, so they listen to whatever the far left media puts out there, just as a tactic to try to, they call it like fear mongering. So I understand Byron Donald's point. He wasn't trying to say Jim Crow was good for Black people. He was saying that at that time, Black families were together. There were more fathers in the home versus today. Today, what we're seeing is more broken homes. We're seeing multiple families outside of the homes. We see absent fathers. So that's what he was trying to say. Well, that's exactly what he said. But Jasmine Crockett and, of course, many of the far lefties took it, spinned it, and guess what? The low information voters, they ate it up, and then they soaked it right up, and they believed it.
We have to diversify. Listen, hey, brother, man. Look who the community having. No, Tony, man, you got to come on the show too. Like I'm still waiting on Tony Herbert to come on the show, man.
PolitiFact that checks things.
Mm-hmm.
I said there is some statistical evidence to support Donald's claim about Black marriages rates being stronger during the Jim Crow era.
Well, yeah, I already know that. I don't need PolitiFact.
The percentage of women aged 40 to 44 who were ever married was 94% in 1930, above 90% in the 70s, and 63% in 2012. And it goes on and on and on. So so for that part of the comment, because the problem is we're in an era where people we deal with that too with Black Westerners. People don't read articles, people read headlines. And people read the headlines and then read the comments that are posted.
Yep.
So it you don't get the full story, or you don't watch the video, or they only show you the video of a clip. And for someone who's been writing for over 30 years, when you only take a clip of what someone says and I can make anybody look any way I want them to look by taking a sentence from what they said out of a whole paragraph or a whole hour's talk. If you just take that sentence and build a whole story about it, it's media manipulation. It's what goes on. Publicists do it all the time. A lot of the media does it because we have less news reporting and more news opinion now. That's just a fact across the board, whether it's right wing, left wing, or whatever. That's just what it is. So I always encourage people, even when we say stuff on the show, don't take my word for it. Look it up yourself. I usually give you the links so you can read it where I got it from and check it out yourself. And we need to do more of that because we're being told by both sides what's being said, and it's not the whole thing of what's being said. And if that's all you're going by, then you're never going to know what the hell's going on. You have to look up some of this stuff yourself. Go watch most of the stuff. There's videos of the person saying it. You can watch the whole thing of what they said and then make your own judgment. But when you only go by a headline and then the various comments, and this is not in defense of any one person, Byron, O'Donnell, or anybody, but I'm just saying in general, this is what I urge our listeners. That's what they need to do. Even when it comes from Black Westchester, you need to look it up yourself. And we usually, if there's a document, we'll put the document in there. We'll put the links to where we got it from. If there's a video of them saying, we put the video so you can see it. Everybody doesn't do that, but we want you to look this stuff up and figure it out and confirm it for yourself, not take nobody's word for nothing. That's why we're being sold. That's why we always falling for the banana in the tailpipe, because we're listening to what people are saying about what other people are saying, and we don't go look it up ourselves. And then we go tell that, and that's the problem in our community, across the board, period.
Oh, yeah, they just look at the headline, because that's what they feed the community, the far left media. Here's the headline. I rather get my information from doing research and, of course, looking at independent media like yourselves, because I know that for independent media, there's no skin in the game for you guys. Like, you're going to report the truth. You're not beholden to any establishment. You're your own media, and you're going to report what you see, and you're not going to, sugarcoat it, because I've seen you guys in action. But I agree with you. It's important that everybody do your own proper research. Like, do your research on Zohran Mamdani. Like, I'm surprised that people didn't look at his past social media postings where he said some pretty racist things, where he's, said some derogatory things about our law enforcement. And by the way, I don't know if you also read up about last week, our officers, over 100 officers filed for retirement because of this guy. Like, you got the city looking like Gotham City right now. Imagine this guy becomes mayor.
Need Batman.
What do you think is going to happen? Like,
Right.
we're fighting for our lives literally right now, because we have local council members who are fighting against the mayor instead of working together. And they're all, more concerned about photo ops instead of paying attention to what's happening in their respective district. It's literally a clown show. I'm sorry. We don't have serious people in office. We have activists in office, and we don't need that. We need people who are going to lead the city on all levels in a positive way and actually pay attention to what's happening and do your jobs. We pay you guys to do your job. You're not celebrities. You are public servants. You're getting paid over our tax dollars to do your job, and we're not seeing that. We're not seeing that at all.
I want to address that. So, Carlton, first off, one, two things. One, you know me, so you know that's not true. Two things can be true. What Byron Donald said in that one sentence was true. And Florida is anti-Black and banning our history and all that. Those two things can be true. That doesn't mean that one statement that he made wasn't true in the essence of what he was saying. But the other part is true too. Two things can be true. And I'm not about giving nobody too much props. I'm just about getting the fact of what was actually said. And that is all I'm doing in this situation, because we can criticize. I'm down to criticize. I'm down to give everybody the business. I'm about to talk about what everybody's doing. But I speak from a position that I am often misquoted and said that I said stuff, or I'm constantly having conversations about what Damon said. And I'm like, yo, did you watch the show? They go, no. Did you read the article? They go, oh, no, I don't read Black Westchester. So why are you criticizing me? So this is why facts of what was actually said matters to me. All that other stuff you said about Florida, I'm 100% with you. Right, but those two things can be true. His statement that he made, that one sentence, is true. The rest of what you're saying about Florida is also true. So I'm not giving him Florida passed. Not that Jim Crow was good. That
nobody said Jim Crow was good.
No. That's what is being said. What he said is the Black family. We have more Black families together in a time of Jim Crow than we do now. That was the point that he was making. And that part, Jim Crow, there was nothing good about Jim Crow. Nobody
said anything was good about Jim Crow.
So that's what That's what I'm referring to.
I read his statement.
Yeah.
I read his statement.
I just read it on the air.
Right. I read brother's statement, and
he said he was talking about what is going on in Florida.
Let me tell you something.
I'm not giving him no credit for whatever's happening in Florida.
Black people are the only people that worry about what the devil's school is doing to their children. You have to start teaching your children Black history in the home, just like the Jews do.
True. That is true.
Like, we sitting here worried about a system. And let me tell you something, to be honest, if the white man didn't want us to have Black history, only thing they got to do it in Texas, because all the books are based off whatever Texas schools do. All the books in the United States. It's based off of Texas, because Texas is the largest state, and they don't reprint. Once they do it based off Texas, they do it out there. Teacher told me that. So we have to start controlling our own communities.
That is true.
Look, Mount Vernon is a Black city with a Black school board, and they messing their children up. What are we worried about the government for?
We had this conversation. I learned more Black history from hip hop, from Chuck D and KRS than I ever did in school, and that's just real. They talked about stuff I never learned in school.
Look, what do we learn about? But Black folks are still moving to Florida. It ain't stopping Black people from moving to Florida. You buy books.
I think that's the argument, though. Yeah.
No, but I get it. But it ain't stopping Black people from moving to Florida. It ain't stopping Black people. We're the only ones that don't take self-accountability of ourselves. I ain't worried about no white man teaching me Black history. I'll teach my grandchildren right here. I'll buy the books and have them read it.
Well,
because we don't
Cynthia, our first co-host, Cynthia Jones, always said that she learned more about Black history from her father than she ever did. The reason she knew all that stuff she talked about on our show is because she learned from her father, not because she learned from public school or college. So that is one thing we have to do, as far as we have to continue teaching our children and teaching them at home and our families. That's something we have to do, regardless of what the school teaches. We want our kids to know what Black history, like Damon said, we need to buy the books. We need to do this stuff at home, and it starts there. And
HBCUs. Stop sending these white colleges so they can learn socialism.
School has never taught us about our proper history anyway. So, I mean, like, that's a conversation. That's for another day.
Well, here's another kicker for you. A lot of public school teachers are telling parents to pull their kids out of the public schools because they see what's happening behind the scenes. They know what's going on. They're not teaching your children. They're just trying to indoctrinate your children. So I say this. This goes back to what Damon said. It's important to have a male figure in the home to teach children about Black history, to teach them about their history, to educate them. This is why it's important to have families together. And if we bring that back today, we would be unstoppable. If Black communities build their communities up and have families together under one roof, we would be powerful. We will be unstoppable.
But even in a situation where there's not a father and husband in the house, Damon used the example, his mother always had a lot of strong Black male role models around that he learned from. Like he didn't have his father in the house, but there was strong. His mother had strong Black role models for him to see what a Black man's supposed to be. So, even because, we all have the situations where, there's going to be some situations like that where there's not going to be a father in the house. But in that example, most Black men who learn, boys that learn, they learn from their uncle. They learn from maybe that one coach or that one person that in their life that taught them. Like, that's how they learn. You know what I'm saying? What they don't learn in the house. So, it's that take a village thing. So we all have to do our part. And
I agree.
For our children, for our nieces and nephews, for our kids in our neighborhoods, we got to do our part. But enough of that one topic. Is there anything else that you want to discuss tonight? Because I'm about to get off the show. We have half an hour out.
No, that's it. I just need you guys to pay attention to the general election. Some things are going to be coming out soon. I know that there's a lot of people working together behind the scenes, community leaders, and let's see what happens. And New York City, please get your act together and do not just stay at home and not vote. Our futures depend on it, our children's future. This is about our livelihoods, and we cannot afford to have a takeover. This is something serious, and the Democratic Party is done. So we already see what's happening. The shift is happening already. So New York will be shifting more to the right, because guess what? The Democrats can't seem to get it together. So as you said before, AJ, they're going to have to work really, really hard to earn back our trust, our votes, and I don't see it happening anytime soon. So
I'm not saying it can't happen. I'm just saying they're going to have to earn it, though. It's not going to be taken for granted. I think a lot of people spoke, no longer will you take the vote for granted, like you just assume that's the way I'm voting because I'm black.
I think it's going to, I think if they keep, like, they have an issue right now with Mandami. The centrist, or even the centrist Democrats, even the ones that are left but not as far left as Mandami, they have an issue, because not only if they get that, you don't think they're coming for Hakeem. They already put that out there. They're coming for Hakeem.
Did you see his response? Oh, my goodness.
Yeah,
He's not taking
they already
it.
put it. They already sent the message to Hakeem. And then there's reports that they've been bullying other people. So it's this whole New York City race, man, is going to be very interesting how it's going to pull out and what's going to be response. Because I think that primary, they only said that was just 10% of the total votes in New York City. So let's see. And, and even Jim was talking about it. They might slide in because everybody's going to split the vote up instead of being one person that's going to go. And Jim made a good idea.
I don't see all the candidates agreeing to it, though, but he made a good idea.
No, they're not. But see.
So many egos in the way.
Yeah, but that's what's going to happen, man. And you know what? And they already know that's going to happen. So now it's just going to be, if he slides in, just get prepared. Sit back and get the popcorn ready.
Be prepared for Gotham.
Well, see, the independents are going to make a big difference in this race. We're going to see what happens. And the Democrats who think they went too far left. There are Democrats that think they've gone too far left that are not.
Well, they've been pulling their money away from the Democratic Party.
Yeah.
Those are the Democrats that voted for Cuomo. They thought it was too far.
Even nationally.
No, the DNC.
No, but we talking about the city. We talking about the mayor race in this particular race too.
Well, nationally too.
The independent party and the Democrats who think that this is going too far left. Those who come out and vote are gonna dictate where this goes. And as Latina said, for all listening and who will hear this later, I hope that not voting is not an option for you. That you go. You educate yourself as much as possible. You make informed decisions at the ballot box, because this will be a big election and will have implications on the direction things are going to be going in New York State and further implications. So get out and vote.
Take it seriously.
Get out and vote. My sister, I want to thank you for coming through.
Thank you guys for having me
your
on.
Lovely face. Absolutely. This has been another episode of Black Westchester Presents the People Before Politics radio show. We're on every Sunday, at least from 6 to 8, and sometimes afterwards. Simulcast live on Facebook, YouTube, X, occasionally Instagram, and on blackwestchester.com. You can watch the show live. And if you watch it on YouTube, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Make sure you leave comments, and make sure you join to be a member. Until next week, we out. Peace.
Yeah.
Thank you to everyone who supported us through Super Chat. Your contributions keep independent media alive and thriving. We couldn't do it without you. Stand up, speak out, rock the message that matters, community before party. Get your shirt today and let your vote wear your interest and values over party loyalty. If you found this video informative, don't forget to like and share it with others who need to hear the truth. And for exclusive content and behind-the-scenes access, join the Black Westchester Magazine YouTube membership club today. Your support helps us keep independent Black media strong. Support independent Black media with style. Rock Black Westchester merch and represent the news with the Black point of view. Every purchase helps us speak truth to power. The Black Tax Pivot. How to survive and thrive under the Trump cuts. Free for a limited time, then available for $7.99 on Amazon. Inside, we break down how to use the new tax code to your advantage, how to restructure your business or start one, why trades and skills are your gateway to wealth, how to shift from spending to ownership fast. We don't have to like the game, but we better learn how to win it. No more excuses. Learn the code, build the power, own your future.
This is the People Before Politics show, broadcast every Sunday at 6 p.m. Hosts Damon Jones and AJ Woodson bring you the news that impacts our community. Join us for unfiltered, unapologetic coverage of the stories that matter most. Black Westchester Magazine presents the People Before Politics show, the news with the Black point of view.